What I'll be showing in this tutorial is how to create motion clips for props. I'm going to use a basketball, which I had pulled off the internet and just masked out. Now let's go to the timeline and show our tracks, our collect, clip, transform, and motion tracks. Now we're going to go down to the motion track and show the motion transform or T track and the motion sprite S track. We're not going to use the sprite track because that just will have keys in it every time you change the sprite image for the prop. But the important one is the motion T track or transform track. The mistake most people make when trying to create motions for props is that they will move the prop around and get keys in the transform track. So say if I move this, well, let's see, we'll start there, we'll go over to frame 10, we'll move down, and now I have another key in here. If I rewind and play, yes, it does move down and does everything we want it to do. But the problem is when you try to collect a clip, the collect clip does not include the transform track. What we need to do is get this key down in the motion T track here. And the way you do that is to bring up the prop key editor. And that's this here. You can click on that menu item, you can click press the K key, or you can come down in here and double click in the motion transform track, which pops up the key editor. Now what I want to do is get this ball to bounce up and down. We don't have to worry about forward motion if we're going to make a dribble, anything like that yet. What we just want is just the basic motion. I'll show you how to get the movement later. So what I want to do here is I'm going to move over to 10 frames. I'm going to make this go down 100. I'm going to move over 10 more frames. I'm going to make it go back up to 0 in the Y direction here. And then I'm going to move over 10 more frames. And I'm going to make it go up 100. And 10 more frames. And back down to 0. Alright, if we rewind, check our movement. It's bouncing up and down just fine. Alright, now what we want to do here is first we can select the collect clip track, but not the one in the project. You have to use the collect clip for the prop. So we click there, drag over for the time range that we want. That's through 40. And then we right click in the collect clip track and we want to export motion without layer. We'll save that. I'm going to overwrite one I've already saved. And now we have saved that. The next thing you can do is click on the prop once we close that and bring up the action menu, or you can press the A key. And with the action menu editor, we can then go over add, browse over to that motion clip we just saved, and add it into the list of actions for that prop. So now if I go back over here and just delete everything, I'm just going to clean up the data. So now we have no data in there at all, like so. Okay, I'm going to go up to the action menu and I say I want it to bounce. So there it is, it's bounced. It's now inserted the motion clip in here, and it's shown as a block here because it's grouped. You can ungroup that and modify it if you need to, and then re-export it, or just for that one particular instance do that. So now I want to have this thing bounce a couple times. So now what we can do is we'll click down here on this clip, and over here on the toolbar here on the timeline we have a loop speed switch. We'll turn that on, and what I want to do here is go down to the end of that clip till I get the double arrows, click again, and it's now appended to that another section which is identical to the beginning. So I'll have 3 of those. I'm going to go turn that off, rewind it, and we'll watch it bounce. Okay, so now what that is, let's get rid of that. And that's what we want. Now the other thing we can do here is, I'll make sure that's off, this loop switch. We can come down to the end of this clip and we can click and drag that smaller or larger. If we go smaller, say down here, it's going to speed it up. See how fast it's going. If we take and drag it out longer, it's going to run a lot slower. So you can then take this clip and speed it up, slow it down, however you need for your animation. Okay, now we got the motion in place. What we want to do here, let me get this back up to where it was, which was 120, yeah, is we want to add some motion to this. So it's bouncing up and down. We want to bounce off the screen to the right, say. So what I'm going to do is every time it comes back up to the center, I'm going to move it forward a little bit. And I'll go up, come back down to the center. I'll just move it forward a little bit more. And down, back up. Yeah, looks about right. We'll move over a little more. I'm trying to keep the distances between the positions about the same. So it'll be a nice even bounce off. You can make it bounce any way you want. And over here, let's see, let's go right there. Yes, move that over to there. Alright, so now if we back up to the beginning, you can see it bouncing off to the edge. And that's adding the motion on top of the clip, because the clip's giving it the motion, the up and down motion, and then the transform as you move it around in space. You can do that independent of the clip. If you had put that into the clip, then you're kind of fixed with that motion going, and anything you add on top of that, it's going to start getting a little confusing on what's going on. So it's best to keep your motion clips very basic, and then add in your physical motions on the transform track. That is, unless you specifically want to have a particular motion to the item in every clip, and then you're going to do something on top of it, then you would put it into the transform motion track. Next is a short clip I created using the bouncing motion we created, applying to the basketball, and then moving it around using the transform track. One thing to note, once you have your prop and you have your action added into your action menu, you can take and save that prop, and it will be saved with those clips. I'm just call it basketball bounce. So now if I delete that and add this basketball and bring up the action menu, there it is. So you can create a prop, save all sorts of different motions with it. Once they're added into the menu, you can then save that prop with those motions, so when you bring the prop back into your scene at some later time, that prop is basically built with all the motions already attached to it, and you just select the motions that you want at that time. So in summary, to create a prop motion key, make sure you use the prop key editor to position the prop. Don't position the prop without the prop key editor open, otherwise those keys will be created in the transform track rather than the motion T track, which is where they need to be. You then select all the keys that you want to export into the clip using the props clip track. You right click and export the keys as a motion clip. Once they've been exported, you can open up the action menu editor and add that saved clip into the menu for that prop. That prop can be saved with all the motion clips in the action menu attached to it, so that you can bring that back anytime. And once you bring it into your scene, you can then add any one of those motions you've added to the action menu to that prop any point that you need to.